Our guest speaker is Adrian Danella, and he is currently the Regional Maintenance Director for Lesson. Lesson's a rapidly growing property services organization that facilitates logistics for every stage of home services and repair for both residents and service professionals. This is an innovative technology type organization. They use data capabilities such as providing analytics and insights to clients while they standardize operational processes and building field training. There's not anything that's ever done this before that I know of. In addition to his responsibilities with Lesson, Adrian has a wide array of expertise, and he's doing some really great things for our industry. For example, here, just a little bit, I've asked him to really touch on his background. It's fascinating to me. He's an attorney, he's been a teacher, he's won educational awards, he's set several records in maintenance operations turnarounds, and he holds several professional certifications. So let's give him a hand and then take it away.
Thank you very much for the warm introduction, Mrs. Brown. I'm Adrian Danella. I'm very excited to be here with you all. A little nervous too. I never spoke in front of this many people before, right? Maybe 15, 20 people was the most, right? So I wanted to start by telling you a little bit about my personal history, how I ended up being here today, right? 1975, I was born in Romania, a communist country at the time, a very brutal regime. If you're knowing what's going on in North Korea today, nowadays, this is exactly the type of life that people lived in Romania back in the day. I'm going to give you a few pointers, a few examples, if you're not too familiar with communism. So, government wanted to control everything. They wanted to control people's lives. You're not allowed to think for yourself. Thinking for yourself, speaking up, could have been a crime. You could go to prison for that. You could not practice or speak about religion freely. My parents were teachers, both. They were not allowed to go to church because the government didn't want them to influence young minds like yours into believing in God. So my upbringing is really not something that's really close to the faith. I was never exposed to faith, mainly because of that. They were probably afraid to talk about it at home. Growing up, I remember I was 6 years old. My father would take me in a room. We had no electricity. Electricity was rationalized. So we would get power outages. We'll have probably electricity 4 or 5 hours a day. But typically in the evenings, we would not have electricity. So he spent half of his monthly salary. He bought a radio that we would run on batteries. And 8 o'clock p.m. every night, there was a 1 hour program broadcasted by Voice of America. Okay, so this is the way we learn what happened in a free world. This is how I learned about America. And they have some really nice reportages about American cities, reportages that I couldn't see on TV. By the way, on TV, we only had 2 hours a day. And it was mainly just communist propaganda. Everything that you will see on TV was that Western societies are evil. Capitalism is evil. And I was listening to those programs, and part of the programs, they would describe American cities. So I was listening with my dad in the dark, and then I was close. Excuse me. I was closing my eyes trying to imagine what the American cities look like. And that was the first time when I really had the desire to visit America if I ever had a chance, the opportunity. So I went to school. Going to school and growing up, we had to fight for survival. Food was not available in the stores. My mom would wake me up at 4 o'clock in the morning, take me to the city, and we would spend more than half a day waiting in lines for food to come in. We didn't even know what type of food is gonna be delivered. Literally, you will walk down the street and there'll be a line, people waiting. You will stand in line and wait. The reason why she took me with her was because everything that was given to people was rationalized. For example, if they had chicken, each person will get 1 chicken. So because she had me with her, we would get 2 chickens. She actually built those huge, humongous bags that we could put in whatever we could get our hands on for the day. We did this probably once or twice a month. And that really helped her feed our family. When I was 14 years old, I left my home village to go to high school in my city capital, Bucharest. Obviously, since this was 200 away from my home village, I had to live intern. I had to live in the dorms. So I started living on my own pretty much since I was 14 years old. This taught me a lot of life lessons. And I wanted to say that I've tried a lot of stupid things, like so many stupid things. But I learned the hard way. 1993, I graduated high school. So I tried to get into law school. The first year, I failed. So because I didn't have anything else lined up, I had to return to my home village. And I was a teacher for 1 year. I taught 3rd grade. Second year, I went back to law school and I tried again. And I passed the exam. 5 years later, 1999, I graduated law school. And then I went and I took the bar exam. So I became an attorney too. Never practiced as an attorney, but I did work for a couple of government entities in Romania. In 2003, in 2002, my wife won the visa lottery. This is a US government program. The government pretty much gives away 50,000 visas all over the world. Anybody could actually put their name in a hat, and if you're lucky, you get a green card. This is exactly how I ended up coming to United States. So we both participated in a lottery, and she won. And then 2003, February the 2nd, was my first day in the United States. So we came here, we left everything behind. None of us spoke English. My English vocabulary consisted of probably 30 to 50 words, most of them that I wouldn't speak in an environment like this on TV, right? And we had 4 suitcases. We packed everything we could in 4 suitcases, and we left everything behind. Our whole entire family behind. The first few jobs that I had here were working with Romanian guys, because having no history here, not speaking the language, you just can't get a job. It's very hard. So I did construction. I used to be a helper in construction, and I worked with a crew of Romanians. One day they sent me to McDonald's. They said, we feel like having some fries. Go and buy some fries. So I didn't know the English word for fries. So I went to the counter and I asked the German out there, I said, can I have some potatoes? And he said, do you mean fries? And at that point, I wasn't really sure that, that's exactly what that was the word. But I said yes. I knew that he's going to give me something to eat, right? So I said yes. So it turned out that they were fries, was exactly what I was hoping for. This was probably 3-4 months in since I came to United States. a couple of months down the road, I kept applying for jobs. Nothing came up, like a full-time job. My dream job at the time was $10 an hour in benefits. That's what I was shooting for. That was my goal. I met with a friend, a Romanian friend. He studied to get his PhD at Georgia Tech. And then one day my friend said, I saw on our website, there's a couple of groundskeeper positions advertised. Why don't you apply for one of those? So sure enough, I went and applied. No response came out of that. But what happened is this groundskeeper work stuck with me. And then I went back to all the job boards that were available at the time, and I kept looking for groundskeeper jobs and kept applying for groundskeeper jobs. A few more months passed, and then I found a part-time job through the Department of Labor website for an apartment community. The manager over there at the community called me, I interviewed, and they offered me the job. They offered me the opportunity. I worked part-time and doing other odd jobs after my part-time job for about 6 months. While I was working, I was living at an apartment community, a different apartment community than the one that I was working at. So the apartment community where I was living at had an older gentleman that used to work as a groundskeeper there. He was always early, 6:30, 7 o'clock. He'll be out there cleaning up the property, picking up the trash. One day when I was going to my part-time job, he was not there. So I went to my job, I worked, I came back home, and I told my wife, there's a job here at a community where we're living at, because I didn't see the groundskeeper. He's not here. So I'm going to go to the manager and ask for his job. So her response was like, are you absolutely insane? The man could have a day off, like he could have a PTO, vacation. Like people take off, like they're just not robots, right? I said, no, I could tell you, I promise you that he's not working here anymore. Something happened and they have the job. But then I got discouraged because, she made a point, right? People need to take vacation. The next morning, I'm going to work, the same thing. The gentleman is not there. So when I came back from my part-time job, I went straight to the manager's office and I asked, do you have any openings? So they said, yes, we have a groundskeeper opening. So I interviewed over there. They gave me the job. They gave me the opportunity. That was my dream job. $10 an hour, full-time with benefits. And that was in 2004, I think March 1st, when I started over there. I started over there at the same time again. I wasn't speaking much English, so I had to still learn. And I went to some night classes, but then because I had to work so much, I didn't have the opportunity to continue with the classes. So I dropped out after a couple months. So everything that you hear me saying today, my level is being learned. I've learned by speaking with other people and hearing other people speaking. So I started working as a groundskeeper right there. A couple of years later, I was an assistant service manager. An opportunity came up for a service manager with a different apartment community within our company. I've applied, I was turned down. Then I went back online and I started looking for opportunities. Found a recruiting company that reached out, had an interview with them, and the owner of the recruiting company promised me that she will probably have something down the road. She knows of a great vice president of an up-and-coming property management company in Atlanta. The up-and-coming property management company was Greystar. Greystar, probably some of you heard of them, right? How many of you heard of them? Most of you, yeah. Greystar is the largest property management company in the world today. They manage over 600,000 apartment homes all over the world. Back then, they had 5 properties in Atlanta. Now probably they have half of the properties in Atlanta under management. So I went. The recruiter set up a meeting with a VP. I got the job. I got the opportunity. And I started working as a service manager. 18 months later, they promoted me to regional maintenance director. That was my first regional maintenance director role. And I worked in that role for about 2 years until 2009 when the economy collapsed. And when the economy collapsed, Greystar eliminated about 25% of their corporate positions. My position was one of them, so I was not out of the job. They offered me something to be a service manager on one of their properties. So I had to step down, go back on site. And I did that for a few more years. I left Greystar. I went to work for Corlon Partners. 4.5 years I worked over there. And then after Corner Partners, there's an opportunity that came up again for a regional director. 2017, I started with Balfour Beatty Communities. They're a fairly large operator, 50,000 units throughout the country. I worked there. Then from there, I moved to ECI Group. I had a short stay with Bridgestone Residential for about 4 months. And then currently, as Mrs. Brown said, I'm working for Lesson. Lesson is not a property management company. We're actually a service company, a vendor for the industry, if you wish, right? So what we do, we're building a platform to help single family and multifamily investors to manage their maintenance workflows. And at the same time, we are building the workforce to help manage that, to actually provide support. They hired me as a director for the East region, just for the maintenance part. We have 3 divisions: maintenance, turns, and renovations. So my role is director for East Coast, and then we're building those teams all over East Coast. Since I started, this is mid-December, we open up Jacksonville, Orlando, Tampa in Florida. We open up Nashville and Memphis. We open up Charlotte, Raleigh, and we're about to open Winston-Salem in North Carolina, Birmingham, Alabama. We're growing super fast. And we're going to open Charleston too in South Carolina. So very fast grow. As a matter of personal opinion, I think that because of the labor shortages, more and more management companies, owners will look at ways to outsource work. So a company like the one that I'm working for currently will be more prevalent in the future. And they might be companies that you might be interested to work for at some point. Because again, I think that the way the industry, the trend that I'm seeing is that the owners are trying to externalize most of the services, whether it's leasing, whether it's maintenance, right? So just something to consider in the future. I think it could become an opportunity.